Hello and welcome. I have all the gear out today because we're going to be taking a look at the hardware side of the Mackie Mainstream. Let's get started. My name is Cree, and on this channel, I talk about tech with context. So if you're interested in learning how I use tech in my everyday video production, consider subscribing. Now, I have done a comparison video already. I compared the Streamer X with the Mackie Mainstream. If you're interested in seeing that video, there is a link down below. And at the end of this video, after I've run you through the hardware side of this device, then I'm going to share with you who I think this device is for. So with that said, let's dive into the hardware side of the Mackie Mainstream. Before we take a close look at the hardware that the Mackie Mainstream offers, I'm just going to share with you right now, I am a Mac user, which means that a lot of the buttons you're seeing here, especially here on the top, those do not function because I don't have software for this device yet. In fact, I did give Mackie a call and I got a pretty good response, a better response than I have the last couple months. But the Windows PC version of the Matrix software is available. That's the software that accompanies this device. For Mac users, well, there's no ETA as to when the software will be available. However, they did say that they're working on it, which is interesting because in December, Rode purchased Mackie. So I am curious to see how all of this shakes out in the end. I have been waiting to do this review, waiting on the software, but because there's no ETA, I figured, hey, let's take a look at this device. On the top of the Mackie Mainstream, these are the pads that I'm assuming I'll be able to program at some point in time. If you have access to the Matrix software now for Windows and PC users, let me know. I'd like to hear back from you in this video as to what that functionality looks like. But as we all know, we're just taking advantage of the hardware that's available in this device now. And yeah, as of now, those pads, they just look pretty. On the left-hand side, there are different knobs on here, depending on how you're attaching all of your microphones and cameras. And I mean, these are all pretty self-explanatory. There are a microphone. This is the gain knob. Here's the headphone volume knob. We've got a speaker knob over here to turn the volume up and down. And then anything else you're plugging into the back of this device, there's pretty much a knob for it or a button for it on the top here. So let's take a look at all of these inputs that are available. And right now you're going to notice that I do have one XLR microphone plugged in over here. I have an HDMI in. The HDMI in is actually, you can probably see it, it's this camera right here. And I have it pointing to the flower behind me. So that's what that camera is displaying right now. And over here, we have the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. It's also in the background over by that lamp. If you can see it behind me, the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 is also plugged in back there. And I also have that pointing at the flower so that you can see that you can send multiple camera outputs to this device, but we'll get to that a little bit more here in a minute. I have a USB-C microphone plugged in at this time. I've got two of those in front of me. And again, I'll share with you why. And then this is the power cable. I have this plugged directly into my laptop, which means that not only is my laptop powering this device, but it's also sending the signal from the Mackie Mainstream over to my laptop. So that's what the port and button rundown looks like. I'm going to revisit the buttons at the very end, but for now, let's take a look at the audio inputs, and I'm going to share with you how you see them in your computer and what those inputs look like. And we'll take a look at that next. As far as audio goes, on the back of the Mackie Mainstream, it does look like you can or should be able to connect up to 3 audio inputs at one time. So we do have the XLR input over here, and then we have 2 USB-C inputs over here on the right-hand side. Now, right now, I do have an XLR mic plugged in, which is this one right here. In fact, you're seeing that signal on the front of the device now. So if you look here, that's this green area right here. I can adjust the gain on that microphone right here. And then also the if I'm monitoring it with the headphones, you do have this volume button over here. If I want to mute my microphone, there's this button right here to mute your microphone. And that's as far as the functionality goes. Now, here is the weird thing. So the first thing I wanted to see is, can I connect multiple microphones? And based on the ports on the back of this device, it looks like I should be able to connect up to 3. So when I'm connecting the Mackie Mainstream over to my laptop, let's take a look and see what those inputs look like. So on my laptop, I have the microphone section here. And let's go ahead. Well, I can only connect to the Mackie Mainstream. That means that what the Mackie Mainstream is doing is it is prioritizing an XLR input, and that's the only selection that will come up on the front of that device right now. Now, on the back, I do have this Fi-Fi mic attached as well to the back to the USB-C input, but you can see that that's actually, it is listed separately. The USB PNP audio device is this Fi-Fi mic. So it's great that it can read both of those inputs. So we've got the Fi-Fi mic, and then we also have, if you want to just do the XLR mic here, you can choose that. So it's only going to accept one audio input at one time. Now, my assumption is that the Matrix software could potentially allow you to select multiple microphone inputs. So this is telling me if I also plugged the Elgato Wave 3 into the back of the Mackie Mainstream, I should be able to choose between the 3 microphones, but I cannot select all of them at once if I'm relying on the hardware only. The other thing I'm going to point out, let's go back to the top of the Mainstream here. The XLR mic is the only mic that works with this signal indicator right here. Now, if I'm on a live stream, it is so nice to be able to just kind of see that light indicator and know that your microphone's working. But if you're using a USB-C mic, well, you're not going to have that indicator. The other thing is you cannot monitor the volume using a USB-C mic input. That means that you're just kind of flying blind. You can't monitor that audio input. The only way that you can see the signal, the microphone or audio signal on the Mackie Mainstream, and the only way that you can monitor the volume levels on a microphone is if it's an XLR input. So can you attach multiple microphones using the hardware only? If you're plugging 3 microphones in on the back, that's as many as it'll allow. The answer is no. And then again, you cannot monitor your USB-C microphone inputs. What you can do is, and I've gone through this before, is I'll link a video down to a workaround that if you do want to use 2 wireless microphones, you can use an adapter, an XLR to a 3.5 millimeter adapter that allows you to connect wireless microphones if you have 2 transmitters and 1 receiver. So link in the description down below. You can connect up to 2 microphones and capture the input of those mics through 1 input at one time. But right now, if you're only using the Mackie Mainstream as a hardware device, then that is the only caveat to video. So you can only have 1 input at a time. When it comes to video, I am sending 2 signals to the Mackie Mainstream at this moment. The first is an HDMI signal I'm sending from this camera right here, and that's pointing to the flowers. And then the second signal is from the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. Now, ideally, I would love to be able to have multiple video inputs and be able to switch back and forth between those inputs, but let's hop into the laptop and see what those inputs look like. All right, you can see right here, I do see those video inputs. I have an HDMI option, and then if I select the Osmo Pocket 3, then I can get that option as well. Now, I am sending the Osmo Pocket 3 signal through the USB-C input on the back of the Mackie Mainstream. Let me just show you what these look like. So right here is the HDMI input, and then right here, that's where I'm sending that USB-C signal. When it comes to the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, I am using it in webcam mode, so that's the only way it's going to send a signal. But as you can see, you can only select one video source at a time. So although I have all these cameras on the table, I can only select one video source at a time. And then I have these 3 microphones on the table because I was thinking I could connect 2 USB-C inputs and then also an XLR input, be able to maybe switch between the 3 there. But because I don't have the software that might allow me to do that, I'm only able to select one audio input at one time. All right, full disclosure, I'm spoiled. You're spoiled. We're all spoiled by the tech that's available to us today. And kind of where I'm at when it comes to providing video production services for clients and even for myself, I really wanted to use the Mackie Mainstream to give me additional audio and video inputs so that if I am managing any type of a live stream, well, I wouldn't have to take an ATEM Mini Pro ISO plus the Rodecaster Pro 2. Those are 2 larger size devices, really looking to consolidate all of that into one smaller device. Unfortunately, you just can't do that if you're relying on the hardware alone for the Mackie Mainstream. And look, at the end of the day, it's frustrating. It's a frustrating device to use. And I'll show you some other kind of quirks about it. If you look at the top here, you can mute your XLR microphone. You have a button for that. You can mute a phone input because you can connect a phone. If you have callers for your show, you can mute that. But I don't have a button on here to mute the USB-C mics. On the right-hand side here, the other thing I can do is I can turn the HDMI signal off and on over here. So if I'm on a video conference call, I would probably utilize the microphone mute button and the camera mute button, but they're far apart. They're not even next to each other. And then down here at the bottom, there is a button to mute your speakers. So if you look at the back of the Mackie Mainstream, you can connect external speakers right here, which is nice. I think a lot of people really want that and they ask for it. At least I get a lot of questions about it. But if I'm muting my speakers, I also have to mute my headphones. So if I'm monitoring audio from the XLR mic and all I want to do is mute speakers that I might have connected to this device, well, I'm muting both. So here's the thing about the Mackie Mainstream. It's just frustrating to use. If you want to do multiple things at a time, it's just, you find yourself not wanting to use it because it's so frustrating. And going back to the point of being spoiled, the thing is that there is such great equipment out there that if I find myself frustrated using it, I'm probably not going to use it because I know there's a better option, even if that option is bigger. So in this case, I wouldn't use the Mackie Mainstream. I would either turn to the Streamer X, but if I wanted multiple video and audio inputs, I'd actually, prefer just to take and or use my ATEM Mini Pro ISO and my Rodecaster Pro 2. So for those of you who don't know about those devices, one's for video, one's for audio, and they're large in size. So you do have everything that you have to carry with you if you're going out and about, but that's going to give you high quality audio and video and full control over everything anytime you're doing a live stream. With that said, the Mackie Mainstream is for anyone who wants to connect external speakers to the Mackie Mainstream. You have those outputs on the Streamer X. You can utilize the headphone jack for that, which I've done in the past, but a lot of you do like to have a regular stereo out. It does have that. It is great for USB-C microphones. If that's the only microphone you have, then you have that input. You don't have that with the Streamer X or other devices at this time. And additionally, if you have a DJI Osmo Pocket 3 or a camera that does a webcam USB-C out, well, I would turn to the Mackie Mainstream. But if you want to do any type of advanced live streaming, or if you want to use XLR mics and USB, multiple USB-C mics, it's not going to work. Also, for the XLR mics, the preamp on the Mackie Mainstream is not great. So you do have to use a cloud lifter if you are going to use a microphone like the Shure SM7B. And as you can see, I can go on and on about the downsides of this device, and the positives are few, very, very few of those. USB-C inputs, go with the Mackie Mainstream. If you want that stereo output, go with the Mackie Mainstream. Otherwise, my advice to you, especially if you're a Mac user, I would go with something else like the Streamer X or something more robust. Stick with the A10 Mini Pro ISO for now, and use your Rodecaster Pro 2 or your other audio capture device for now. And hopefully, now that Rode owns Mackie, maybe we'll see better devices coming out in the future that gives us multiple options. So that was a lot, but those are my feelings about the Mackie Mainstream as of today. For most of you, wouldn't buy it. For the few of you who have the USB-C inputs, it's a fun device, and it gets the job done. All right, so if you are interested in these types of videos, I invite you to subscribe. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Thanks as always for tuning in, and I'll see you again in next week's video.